Hello and welcome back to one of our mini training sessions on Workbooks CRM. And in this one, we're going to cover Workbooks CRM integration with SharePoint. So by connecting Workbooks CRM and SharePoint, you're going to gain a sort of centralized hub for document management so that you can access and update your SharePoint files directly from within Workbooks CRM. Eliminating that constant sort of switching between the two applications. So it's going to save you time, and it's for sure going to help with team collaboration as well on client projects. So let's dive in and explore how Workbooks CRM and SharePoint can help you sort of redefine how you manage files and documents within your company, your CRM implementation. So hello, my name is Tim Wilmot, joined by my colleague Stuart Lawrenson-Hind. Hand over to Stuart very shortly. Our company, Wizard Systems, we're a leading independent CRM solutions provider of systems like Workbooks, and we help out organizations use simple and affordable solutions to help them with their sales, marketing, and customer service activities. So thanks for joining us, those of you on here live, for our Workbooks Wednesday, Workbooks training session, a regular series of short presentations focusing on different topics. And as I said, on this one, we're going to cover SharePoint integration. Now, the audio part of this session is one way only. If you've got any questions, please type those into your question box on your meeting control panel, and we'll do our best to answer those at the end. So let me now hand over to my colleague Stuart, and he'll take us through SharePoint integration.
Right, so as mentioned, there's a brilliant integration with Microsoft's SharePoint application, and this allows you to create a custom tab on the various record types in Workbooks that can show data from your SharePoint folders. So why does this help us with Workbooks? Right, for example, you could have folders on a project tab that store images relating to floor plans and drawing plans and that kind of information. What about all the training documents that have been created for a particular customer? Or it could be images and videos regarding a support case. It's this last one that I'm going to expand on and use in my demo. Now, before I go too far, I should explain a little about the integration itself. Don't worry, won't be technical. The plugin is available to all Workbooks, and it's installed from the script library. Like a lot of things, you'll need to be an admin user in order to install it. You'll also need to be or have your Microsoft administrator handy during the setup. And the integration will create a folder structure within your SharePoint environment for you. It'll do the heavy lifting. And it'll be simple. It'll create a folder for each organization. And you can then decide what additional folders you want to include. And as I mentioned, things like projects and sales and support. So you can have a sales folder, and it's not only shared with your sales team, it could be shared with customers, or a support folder, again, shared with customers. This is where the SharePoint part comes in. The idea behind this is that you have the ability to add a SharePoint tab to any record type of your choosing. Then within that structure, you can decide who can see what. Now, in my setup, I'm a support person, and I can only see the files that are within the support tickets. And I'll show you this in a few minutes. So let's take a look at a case in Workbooks. This is my test record, and I can see that this particular case is about a printer. I've got activities open in the right-hand side, this lovely right-hand pane that's running. And I can have a look at this case in more detail. I can go through them. Obviously, the oldest ones are at the bottom. See, it's to do with a problem with a printer. And I get to the second one. Here's a screenshot of my printers. Well, let's have a look. Well, nobody's saved a file, so I'd have to open this email to have a look at this. And I can see, yep, there's a file there. Now, what would a section in Workbooks? But what I can do is I can save the file and share it and drop it into the SharePoint folder. So why use SharePoint over the files option? Well, Workbooks users can see attachments just as they would with the files option. However, if I use the SharePoint option, anyone with access to this folder can see the attachment. Now, this could be someone in the repair department that doesn't use workbooks, but they can view the image without me having to send them an email. So you're losing this duplication of work. I can just say the image has been uploaded and they can view it. So let's get this file into my system. So normally you would download that file. I can then go back to my SharePoint tab. I can see quite clearly that it's the SharePoint tab here. And I can just drag the image and let go. And this file is now in SharePoint. Now, as I said, that's it. It's done. That file is available to everybody, people within workbooks, and I said people with outside of workbooks. Now, workbooks can't share files. SharePoint can. And this is where the system gets clever. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into SharePoint. And I'm just going to very briefly show you this ticket. So this is our SharePoint. You can see that I'm only part of this wizard support system. If I go into the ticket, there's the image that I dropped in the folder very quickly. So if I go back to the ticket itself, if I click on that, I could share this one ticket with a third party, with a support company, with the customer themselves, and then the other person can open it up and they've access to a web version similar to this, and they can drop files into it and be able to collaborate on this job with me. Let me show you what I mean. So this is SharePoint, nothing to do with workbooks, but imagine a video. Now, some videos are quite large, difficult to email. You end up having to use third parties, Dropbox, WeTransfer. But imagine a customer says, I've got a video showing the issue. And all they do is they drag it into SharePoint. It's added. And if I go into my workbooks and refresh, there's the printer. Now in workbooks, added from outside of workbooks. So it opens up, like I said, a world of possibilities. So I've shown cases and saving attachments. Like I said, but it's the beauty of it is it's a SharePoint tab on any record. And with the integration, you save files that stay in your SharePoint environment but are available in workbooks. You lose the duplication. There's only one add printer file. There's only one of my printer's image. As you saw, you don't even need access to the SharePoint tab in order to add files to it. A workbooks user can just drop files into this white page and they're automatically added. I hope that explains a little of what's possible. And with that, I'll hand back to Tim.
Yeah, thanks very much, Stuart. So as you can see, lots of possibilities of using SharePoint to different scenarios there. We tackled the support case type scenario, but lots of other examples I'm sure you can think of. And a great way of sharing time and improving efficiencies within your organization. So now we'll come to the questions section on anything to do with the SharePoint integration. But just while you may be thinking about a question, just a brief mention again about Wizard Systems. I know many of you on the call live are very familiar with us and have dealt with us for many, many years. So just to recap, we specialize in CRM. All we do is CRM. We handle a number of different CRM solutions, including workbooks. We're not just a one product company, but workbooks is one of our key products, key solutions. And we provide any service around workbooks implementation and training and any help and guidance and the ongoing tech support as well. So you're not on your own. We're here to make sure you get the most out of your workbooks, your CRM investment. All right, so I can see a few questions coming through, Stuart. Question from Viv. We use Box, not SharePoint. Does it link to that?
Yes, there is a Box integration with workbooks. It has a similar structure in that it's once the integration is up and running, you can have it create a folder structure within the Box environment that then has a tab in Workbooks where users once again can just drop files into it, and uses this one file store instead of duplicating work in multiple locations. So yes, there is a box integration.
Okay, and if you go to the integrations page on the Workbook site, they keep up to date all their current integrations. I'm sure it's up there as well. Right, Elaine, we don't have SharePoint. We're only 3 users. So can we use something in Workbooks instead?
Oh yes, of course. I alluded to the Files tab itself. That's available again on every record type in Workbooks. The files will be there, or users can access them. A couple of things to be aware of, although it's obviously shouldn't be an immediate issue to most people, is that there is a file storage limit, and everything you do within Workbooks adds to this file store. Now, it is 100 gigabytes of data, so hopefully it's more than enough for most people. But the reason for showing SharePoint is it's this sharing, it's this opening up, it's this collaboration, because a file in Workbooks is it is a file in Workbooks.
Yeah, and that 100 gig, well, it used to be 10, didn't it? Sometimes. Yes. Well, we've been supplying Workbooks now for well over 13 years. I can probably count on one hand the number of clients that have sort of exceeded that allocation. Obviously, it depends on what sort of business you're in and the way the need for tracking files and documents, and the sort of file type as well, the file size. But yes, it's quite generous, I would say, the 100 gigs. So there you are, Elaine. Could start off with that, but there's lots of other options as you grow. Right, third question from Jerry. This is a bit of a longer one. Hopefully I can read it out correctly for Jerry. What is the best way to save an attachment in an Outlook email into a specific file in SharePoint documents? We often have suppliers' quotes that arrive by email, and we need to save them in a specific folder on SharePoint. We haven't finalized yet whether this folder should be a specific opportunity folder, which means we need to create a folder every time we have a new opportunity, or whether it should be in a folder relating to the particular supplier. They're already in the system. It really depends whether you're still with me, Stuart. It really depends on whether Workbook SharePoint has a built-in system for making one of these routes easy. If you understand what I mean, I appreciate we can simply save the whole email to an opportunity using WES, but saving the specific attachment from an email will also be needed. Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I'm sure many CRM users will face the same scenario.
Indeed. Yeah. Right. There are 2 routes. If you think old school, put that head on, you would save the attachment into the folder structure straight away. You can browse what I alluded to with the setup that we've got using the portal. This can be replicated in Windows so that you actually see the folder structure. So you right click, save the attachment, and put it straight into the SharePoint folder you want, and it will become available, as you saw, to the Workbooks users. The other option, of course, is to save the attachment to your local PC and then just drag it into the relevant location on the SharePoint tab against that particular item. As was it Jerry's question, you could save it to the opportunity, you could save it to the supplier. There's nothing to stop you sharing that file 2 or 3 times. You just drag the file into the relevant folder and the system will store it there for you, so you'd have it. Probably the idea of saving it once, having a corporate idea of what you're going to do. But if you use the opportunity option, which is probably the cleanest. When you create a new opportunity, SharePoint will create a new opportunity folder in SharePoint for you, so that your attachments go into that opportunity. So they're all stored within that own little folder, not just stored en masse in an opportunities folder. So it would be opportunity and then the number of that opportunity. So it's I think there's two clean ways to go. It's which way, the corporate way. I like from Workbooks, but some people like from Windows.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Jerry, if that answers your question, but if you want any further clarification, then you know where we are. Please come back to us. Right, I don't think there's any more questions, Stuart. Right, let me just bring things to a close then. So we're on 7.2 at the moment. If you've got any topics for future 101 sessions, please let us know. Any of us with assistance, we'd be happy to consider talking about any topic relating to workbooks that would be of general interest to most, a lot of workbooks users out there. We won't be doing a Wednesday session next week, so we're skipping a week, but the following week we are likely to, we're thinking about something along the themes of my first dashboard. So anyone that's having difficulty or a challenge thinking about how to use a dashboard, how to create them, then that's going to be the session for you. So watch out for the invitation for that. So thanks very much, those of you on here live, for sticking through this. So hopefully that was of interest to you on Workbooks CRM integration with SharePoint. We will catch up with you soon on the next event. Thanks very much indeed. Bye-bye.